Is that me sharing the screen?
No, it says Heidi.
Heidi, what is it? I may have to kick her off.
That's okay too.
Ah, there we go.
Okay. So I think we're ready.
So we all here?
Yes, we have a quorum.
I'm here.
Okay. All right. Come on, I need to see the time. All right. This is the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board for the City of San Angelo, Texas. It is 3:42 p.m., June 29th, 2020. I'm the chair, Lori DeCello, and I would like to call this meeting to order and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. This meeting is held virtually due to COVID-19. No public comments were submitted in writing to Mr. White. The board may request an item to be placed on a future agenda or for a consent agenda item to be moved to regular agenda for public comment. Carl, you wanted to speak about Unidad?
Yes. If we haven't told you, we got good news. You know, we applied for the grant for some funds to help refurbish the playground at Unidad Park. We were told late last week that we did get the grant. So the grant is $183,807. And so we'll be adding to that some asset sales tax monies that have already been earmarked for that project, as well as the money that we got from donations from San Angelo Gives, and a smaller amount from another account dedicated to playground refurbishments or playground replacements. So the total project will be $372,619. So we got to take that to council next week to accept that grant. And if that gets accepted, which I don't see why it wouldn't, we'll sign the grant documents and we should receive the funding in August so we can purchase the playground equipment this fall. And then the plan is to do that project after we finish Brentwood, or at least get substantially complete with Brentwood. So it's good news.
Yes, it is. Yay.
And
How much money do these usually cost total?
it just depends. It depends on how big the playground is. This one is larger because it has playground equipment for older kids and younger kids. And what almost doubles the cost of this project is the fall zone material. What is there, or what was there, it's in bad shape now, or not good shape. It's poured in place fall zone material. And so it's the best there is, but it's very expensive. So we're going back with that, and that almost doubles the cost.
If we wanted to put a splash pad in there, how much more would it cost? A small one, I mean, or a medium-sized one, not a huge one.
You know, since we already have parking there and restrooms, you know, we could probably get by with 250, 300,000. We've got that is one of the locations where we talked about possibly putting one, and we've got room to do that at that park. And it seems like a good fit for it because it's kind of, that area's become a recreational hub with the Redwood Trail, the dog park, sports next level. across the
But
street.
there's a pool
Yes,
3 or 4 blocks away from that, though.
Right.
At a private, at a country club pool or something. I mean, club pool somehow.
right.
I think it's a private neighborhood pool.
Oh,
But I think we're getting off the public comment, but yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't
All
receive any public comment to my email as we announced on the agenda. So I don't know if anybody else has public comment.
Okay. So item number 1, consideration of approving the February 20th, apparently that didn't go last time, and the June 15th of 2020 meeting minutes. Are there any corrections? No. Well, do I have a motion?
I'll
Madam
second.
Chairman, I'll move that we accept the minutes as presented.
Okay, so I have a motion from Kenneth
I'll second that.
and a second from Heidi. Okay, and so all 4 the meeting minutes say aye. Aye.
I
Any against? Okay, the motion has passed. Okay. So number 2, consideration of approving a request for the use of Kirby Park for the flag football practices for Youth Bandits. Carl, how long have they done this? This is like their 3rd or 4th year?
Maybe the 5th. I think I have that in the presentation.
Is that what you have? The 5th year?
Maybe. I think I've got that as a note.
You
Quick
probably do.
orientation. This is at Kirby Park on the north side. Kirby Park is on Edmond Boulevard, basically where 29th Street west from Highway 87 crosses the river and turns into Edmond Boulevard, the community park there. And this is on the north side next to the large pavilion. Looking in closer, before they had requested to use it Glenmore Park as well, but they're not asking for that this year. Just the large practice area next to the pavilion for 2 fields. It's youth flag football. The times Monday, Tuesday, Thursday evening, 6 to 8, and basically the month of July and November. And this is the 5th year that they've asked for it. We don't really have a process for this. We use the special event application for it, so we'll get the information we need. And then we take it to the board for y'all's consideration. They don't have any dedicated place for their activities. They're a smaller league. It does impact the availability of these areas for others to use. They do pay the required fee for the use of those practice fields. They just pay it all at once for the collective use. They do have to get a certificate of insurance, and staff recommends approval. It's worked out well. We haven't had any issues with them. It provides a place for them to practice, and it's for youth sports, so it's a good thing. Brent, Roger, do you have any thoughts or concerns?
Hello, everyone. No, we have no issues with this program. And like you said, Carl, they've been with us for the last several years. They seem to adhere to all the things that we ask them to do. And so, no, everything seems to go pretty well.
question, what are the fees that we're charging them?
It's Brent, isn't it $1 a field?
Yes.
So it's not much.
Carl, it's kind of,
Once.
Carl, this is Skinner. Do they actually play games or is this just practice
Just
facility?
practice.
Just practice is all they do?
I think it works out to be maybe $50 or $60 in total.
Your dollar's a little cheap.
That's what the current fee is. I mean, we could go up, try to go up on that in the future. You know, we were looking at fees this year, but that was canceled due to COVID.
How much did it cost us to take care and maintain it?
We're taking care of the park anyhow. We already mow it. I don't know that we do anything extra special, Roger, do we?
No, Roger here again. No, we haven't done anything additional other than the same thing we would have done whether they would be there or not at this point. That their impact is not that great on it. And so, no, we haven't really had that big of issue.
I think it's great if the kids have an opportunity to be able to play something that's reasonable at this point. Obviously, prices aren't getting increased because of COVID right now. I recommend we move forward with it.
I'll second that.
Okay. So I have a recommendation from Heidi and a second from Kenneth. I do have a question. On their application, they had participants of, I don't know, 100, 1,000. I'm not quite sure what that was.
It's 100.
It's 100. Okay.
There, but it's on the form.
Okay. And then I have another question. Do they have anything in place, or do we have anything in place that would require them to do something special if any of the kids get this COVID virus or anything like that? That's my only question.
We can talk with them. If they do have any kids that have any symptoms of any cold or flu, we can tell them they can't participate. We can tell them.
I mean, I don't know. I didn't know if the city had anything like that, or
no,
we're going to require that.
No.
No?
The only current thing is we're restricting, or for outdoor gatherings, they're limited to 100 or less, unless they get approval through the special event process, which in this case would have to go to city council if it's over 100. But other than recommending, keeping distance from everybody else, and, spectators should wear a mask, the participants not, or I don't think officials either. There's nothing required.
So as long as it doesn't go over 100.
Right, and they're pretty spaced out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So since I have a motion and a second, we want to vote, say aye for accepting this request. Aye. I see mine. I see Steve's.
Heidi.
Heidi. Kenneth.
It's all
Ed?
Kenneth.
Okay. All right. So it passes unanimously.
Anonymously.
Okay. So item number 3. Yep.
Yes, this is for the consideration of the final draft of the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. We're taking this to council at the next meeting, July 7th, for consideration of formal adoption through resolution. And so we need an official action by the board. Jennifer's here, and she can speak to what she's had to update since the board meeting and council meeting. And we can try to answer any questions you might have.
Sure. Actually, this is Jennifer. Good afternoon. Actually, I only changed one thing. What we did after the last meeting was there were a few comments from the city council to confirm that we had added restrooms to Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Park, and to confirm that we had everything that Carl is currently working on in the master plan. And so we went through and we double checked everything, and we missed a playground Carl is currently working on, and so we added that in. It was one of the parks out at Lake Nasworthy. I can't remember which one off the top of my, no, maybe. It was one of them. I can't remember which one off the top of my head. I apologize.
Brentwood?
I wanted to say it was,
I can't remember either.
I think it was Kids Kingdom. We said that we put in that we were putting, that you might be putting in new playgrounds there. So
Yes, Kids Kingdom.
that is the only one. Everything else is the same as it was before. We just confirmed that everything Carl was working on and everything that the city council had a question on was already in the plan.
Okay.
Question. The City Hall Plaza is considered one of the city parks?
It's a city property that Parks maintains. I mean, it could be considered like a pocket park because it is a place to sit and relax.
Okay. Well, I noticed that they had ornamental sheep on the listing of amenities, and aren't those called welcome use? For
Is that-
Chamber of Commerce, is the Chamber of Commerce ornamentation, and those are called welcome use, aren't they?
Is that the
Instead of-
official name? That's what it is, though. It's one of those.
Yeah. I just noticed that. I thought I'd bring it to your attention.
I didn't realize that was the official name. Welcome use.
I think elsewhere we might have called them public art because that's what they are. But if you would like it changed to that, I certainly can and get that to Carl before next week.
Whatever. I thought it was curious.
I've got a little side note here that I might get kicked out of the city if we bring it up and my name's used, but can we make sure that the city council has a better microphone for our mayor when they have meetings? Because I listened to this last week, and it's pretty hard to understand her when she's talking. And I think the distance to the microphone may have something to do with it. Can we do that as a side note or something?
Yes, sir. Noted. Any other
Okay.
feedback
Yeah,
on the?
any comments? I thought it was good.
I move we accept the plan as presented with the corrections that were made.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. I
Steve?
have a motion from Kenneth and a second from Steve.
Yes.
Do we have any other discussions, or we ready to vote to send this to city council? Okay, so all those four say aye and show your hand. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, all those against say nay. All right, I hear no nays, so I'm gonna say the motion carries you anonymously.
Anonymous.
Oh,
Steve's
okay.
not.
On that note, I would like to say it was a pleasure working with Carl on this particular project, and I hope you guys get loads of use out of this. And knowing what Carl already has planned, I'm sure you will.
Mhm.
Thanks for your help.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Jennifer. Been
Are
great
you
to work.
available for consulting or questions?
I'm sorry, what?
Hello?
What was that?
Steve,
Dead. Live.
we can hear you.
I'm back. Did you hear my question?
I did not.
Okay. Are you available in the future for questions? If we do find something, it's quite a sizable document. So
Yes, yes. Carl has all of my contact information if needed.
thank you.
All right. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I hope we get lots of grants with it. Okay.
Carl,
There's good potential for that, but it takes more than me.
there was a man who somebody was a member of the Lions Club that had been working with the Lions for a long time on grants. And I just wanted to bring that, if we need somebody to as a grant writer in the future, he might be available. He might volunteer for such a thing.
Okay, email me his contact or call me or text me.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So item number 4. Oh, and Debbie's not here.
What happened to Debbie?
You can join us.
Yeah, she was on.
Yeah, but this is her item.
She's just muted.
Oh, she's here.
Oh,
Oh,
she's here? Okay.
How do can you hear me now?
Yes.
yes.
Awesome. No wonder. I'm still learning this Zoom business, I guess I was muted the whole time, but I was agreeing with you all along.
Okay.
You voted
Okay.
in favor.
If you don't agree with us, we turn your sound off.
Yeah.
No wonder it's been such a peaceful meeting. Okay.
Okay.
Hey, Carl,
Yeah.
this is Shane. Before you get started in this, you might see if the board will take a quick break so you can contact Teresa James.
Uh-oh.
I think your board would be interested in what she wants to tell you. So you
Who's
might just take
Teresa James?
City
our
attorney.
city.
The lawyer.
Oh,
Y'all keep talking. Let me call her.
okay.
Did you tell her I was in a board meeting?
Oh,
Yes,
this is a pretty picture.
because I
Yes,
just got
it is.
off the phone with her. So.
It's always good to have an attorney sit in.
About the boat races or something?
No, it's about the
The stuff.
lake and
Hey, Brent, how is the pool doing?
She didn't take my call.
okay.
How's the pool what?
How's the pool doing? Are we still going to open on target?
We are going to open on target. We're ready this weekend. Got some people being trained this week. The pool manager's here. We've been working with her on getting everything finalized and touched up. So we're ready to go this weekend.
Awesome. Okay, Carl, we could go back to Lake Nasworthy. We're not.
All back.
This far. Sorry, I'm at the board meeting.
dun, dun. Hope it's good.
Why is Shane Kelton watching?
Mm.
Okay, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
You talk to her?
I think the live meeting now showed my emails.
No.
Okay, hopefully it doesn't invalidate our meeting. Okay, are we ready to continue?
Yes.
Please.
Yeah, I don't know that I need to announce anything what she told me, but I'll let y'all know after the meeting. Okay, so Debbie, you requested this item.
Yes. Mhm.
You start talking to, you want to talk about buoy placement and sign placement related to safety at the lake?
Yes, sir. The Lake Nasworthy Homeowners Association have received numerous calls from concerned lake residents regarding, let's start with the signage. Some of the signs that have been posted in the past have fallen down or blown away. And one of those is around the main ski island, which is, and I wish I could point it out, but Carl can probably, help me with that. On the, what would be the east end, there's a sign that says boats keep right. And
Shane,
what,
this is item here.
that's
Yes,
correct.
you're right.
That's correct. And what our attempt to do, obviously, is to try to make boaters aware that that if they're coming into that area, they're to keep right of the island. And it is a no wake zone all the way around that island. So skiers are a lot of times pulled by boats around that island. And we try to keep them going in the proper direction so we don't have anybody run into each other. And right now, that sign that's on that east end of that island that says keep right it's either no longer legible or it's fallen down. I'm not quite sure. But it needs attention. Let's put it that way. We also wanted to make note from what I'm hearing from people that live in that area is that even the park rangers, the lake patrol tend to go up the wrong way in that area. And that's a concern to us. You know, of course, if we want the public to provide or to go by what we're trying to do as far as direct traffic in a safe direction, we would hope that the lake patrol would follow suit. But that was something that was brought up. Also, the second, and that's the only other sign that I'm told right now is not legible or in good condition, but we wanted to bring that to the city's attention because it is a major safety concern. And if you're not familiar with that, the very end or the west end of that island, it's narrow. And when you turn, there's not a lot of visibility until you're in the middle of your turn. And if you're pulling a skier and someone's coming the opposite direction, a collision can occur very easily. So again, that's the safety concern. So we'd like the city to check that out if they would. Now, in movie, any questions on the signage from anyone?
Well, how permanent is this? Is it just a pole?
Steve, I don't think we can hear you.
How permanent is it? Is it just a pole?
Mm,
It's two,
Shane, can you help me with that?
yeah, it's two poles and a, oh, permaline or whatever that stuff is that they use to make signs out of. Um, it's not a heavy duty big sign. It's fairly lightweight, lighter construction, but on two poles. It probably just in one of these big windstorms probably blew down. So I'll have Lake Maintenance go take a look at it.
That'd be great. Thanks, Shane. Okay, in regards to the buoy placements, in the past couple years, there's been additional buoys placed out on the lake. And again, we've had numerous lake residents call in concern. And their biggest concern is that there's now no wake zone buoys in open lake areas. And to give you all a little history prior to this, and Shane more than welcome to jump in, but before these new buoys were put out, no wake zone buoys were only in no wake zones, which are the sloughs, the shallower areas of the lake, areas where
Residents?
just unsafe areas for people to be traveling at a high rate of speed in a boat is where the no wake zone buoys were. And it's on the main bodies of the lake. Most of that was, open. There wasn't any no wake zones. But in the last couple of years, there's been numerous buoys, and we're talking like numerous, probably 20 more buoys were put out in the last 2 years, and they were put out in open water areas. And one of those, just to give you an idea, is if you're at Lake Nasworthy Bridge and you travel towards Spring Creek Marina on the main part of the lake, you come up before you get to Spring Creek Marina, and there's homes along the right side, or that would be the north side. Numerous buoys were put out in that particular area. And there were, and it was always a open water area. And, as far as real estate goes, I know when we'd sell a house in that area, that was something we'd let people know, hey, this is a open area where people can ski right past your dock. So you have to be careful if you have swimmers in the water, yada, yada, yada. But now there are no wake zone buoys about maybe 15, 20 feet. Isn't that right, Shane? Out from the water's edge. So
they're probably a little further out than that.
You talking about these?
No, the ones over off Red Bluff,
Oh, Red Bluff.
and then the ones along South Concho Drive.
These
right.
Yeah,
Right.
go back down towards Spring Creek from there. Right, yeah, right there.
Yeah, right
those
there. Those
there.
on the
Those
right.
there.
Mhm. The north.
Those were placed there, and then the ones along South Concho Drive.
Right. And there are homes, there, but I guess the concerns are there's so many, those areas were always, people were free to ski. And now they're not, and they have no wake zone areas yet. I think from what I'm understanding from the Lake Patrol, they have a hard time enforcing those. In the past, it's just been open water. And those parts of the lake had never been a no wake zone area. And now we've got all these buoys along there that say no wake, no wake, no wake. And I guess the main complaint is they're not being enforced. So why are they there? And I think it causes confusion for boaters on the lake. So my suggestion is need to go back to why we have no wake zone buoys and why we have open lake areas where people can ski, and try not to confuse the two.
And to give a little more history or background on that there were some homeowners, and then actually one of them was, at the time, one of the ones that showed up there was actually the HOA president at the time. He's no longer on the HOA anymore, and I don't even believe he has a house out at the lake anymore. But they had come to a council meeting, and were trying to get council to take action to do something about all of the wakeboard and wake surfing boats that were running along the shorelines right there and causing the large wakes, the big, heavy, deep wakes, crashing into their seawalls along there and destroying their seawalls. At that point in time, staff was directed by council to do something to help alleviate the large drafts and the large wakes from crashing into the seawalls and destroying the personal property along the waters, or along the edge right there in those areas. They weren't so concerned about typical ski boats, the smaller ski boats, but it's the large, heavy wakeboard boats and the wave surfing boats that really create those really deep, big, huge waves that were tearing up the seawall.
Mm-hmm.
And council instructed staff to help the homeowners address those issues. The only way to do that was to add the no wake areas along their property lines, or along the water's edge lines right there. So that was the only way to solve that issue as directed by council. So that's the reason the buoys were placed there. I know that there's people on both sides of that out at the lake, and I know and on the HOA as well too. The current HOA president has he beats me up pretty regular on this, and we've worked tried to work some with the lake patrol out there. The problem is just trying to get everybody on the same page, and the biggest issues, you have one homeowner saying one thing and you have the homeowner right next to him saying another. So it just kind of depends on what side of the boat you're on, I guess. No pun intended there. So it's
do you know what other lakes do, Shane, that have the same issue?
I do not know what they do unless they because we could take all those buoys up and we could pass an ordinance that doesn't allow boats to pass with, or one of those large wakeboard or wave surf boats. You can't operate your boat within 150 feet of any shoreline. We could do something like that, and then we could remove the buoys at that point, I would think. But again, that starts limiting people, and I don't know that would be a popular option either.
Jet skis only.
Yeah, there you go. It's complicated.
Yeah, it gets really complicated, and it gets, and
I guess I'd like for this to be looked into a little deeper, and maybe look at some maybe not local, because there aren't really any local lakes like ours, but other lakes in the state of Texas similar, and see how they handle the open water versus the no wake zone areas. And maybe, we can get an idea of how it's handled in other places. But my whole thing is, if the lake patrol can't enforce it, then why have them there? If it takes an ordinance for safety reasons, then I think that should definitely be looked at. But sometimes, you can be trying to do something for a safety reason, and you have all these buoys out there, and when really that causes more safety issues than if there weren't any buoys there. I kind of like the idea of no boats coming within a certain feet of residential properties on Lake Nasworthy or something, because that would be a good safety ordinance.
Mhm.
Yeah, and at that point, and again, and we'd have to work with our legal team and of course with the guys on the water too. Because when I place a no wake buoy out there, that's enforceable by everybody because that's state law. Versus if I pass an ordinance, I don't know that game wardens can enforce it at that point because it's a local ordinance and not a state law. And
Okay.
state officers can't enforce local law, or generally don't. I don't guess they can, and they generally don't. So that could, and again, there's a whole lot of issues involved with it. It's not just as simple of, there's not a simple, easy solution on this is the problem. So,
Shane, I have a
yeah.
question, if I may. When you put out these no wake buoys, is there any kind of regulation that is industry standard as to what they mean and how far they enforce or anything like that? Because I don't hear anything about that.
Yeah, all buoys are marked for water. I mean, because there's multiple different type of buoys, and each buoy is marked, and they have their own special symbols that everybody that owns a boat is supposed to know and obey. Doesn't mean it happens, but they're supposed to
I
know.
don't have a boat, so I don't understand what one would say, what one
Yeah,
doesn't.
what one symbol means versus the other. Now, all the no wakes say no wake on them, but different buoys have different symbols and different lettering on them, and they can be placed differently, and they don't have to be spaced. Well, I can't remember how far these actually are apart. It's hard to really judge based on this map as to how far apart they are. But they have to be like in a channel. If they're going in a channel and you put a no wake buoy in the channel, that means that there is no wake until you cannot make a wake in a channel until you see another buoy that says that you're back in a open water again. So,
Oh, so you have actually, because you put those there, you've actually cut off all of the wake in those particular channels. And I don't really know how wide they are, but wow. Okay. Is that something that the city should have jurisdiction over, or is that more according to the homeowners association? Does anybody know that?
it's the city jurisdiction. It's our
The
lake.
city owns the lake.
City owns the lake, so.
Oh, so if you do want to change any of this, this is specifically city ordinances.
It's not the way the ordinance is read. It's administrative.
I do kind of like Debbie's idea to find out what other lakes do. I guess we'd have to go closer to Austin to see that, because we don't have too many lakes with a lot of.
Lake LBJ and
Yeah.
those up there. Yeah, be a good idea. Yeah, I mean, because my whole thought on it is, open water's open water. And
Right.
as a resident, if you purchase a home on an open water area, then, those are questions you have to ask about, well, what does that mean? Versus buying property in a protected no wake zone area. And I think, we got in a situation where there were people that were wanting their open water residences to be a no wake zone. And, we just can't do that. I just don't see how we can do that.
Well, and it's not necessarily to keep the wake out of the open water. It's to keep them X number of feet off of the bank. They can't they cannot make a wave within X number of feet of the bank. Now, outside those buoys, the way the buoys are placed and the way they're read is that you can't get closer than those buoys to the shoreline. But from there out into the open water, you can still have wake. You just can't from there to the shoreline.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
You're afraid that bug's gonna crawl up your leg?
But I do know that we have been, you know, Ray McKim even visited with the city manager earlier today with the HOA, and the city manager's been in contact with me again today. And so we'll try to sit down with Barry and the bunch out at the lake with the Lake Patrol and again, take a look at this again. But again, one group says one thing and another group says another. So it's really hard to which 50% do you give into? So
It sounds like some education would go pretty far to get everybody on the same page. And
Yes, ma'am.
And
I
if
agree.
well,
I mean,
and the
let's
biggest
look at
problem
the
is
facts and figures and what other people do, and then make a good, educated decision.
yeah, but
That's all I'm
educating
asking
all
for.
of the residents would help you out also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's not as much as our local people here that are normally the issue that we see here. It's a lot of our weekenders from the Midland Odessa area that we get in every weekend that pretty much disregard anybody's personal property or they blow right through those. Well, they blow under the bridge going 90 miles an hour with no wake buoys that have been there forever. So, I mean, Lake Patrol and game wardens could step right there and make a living all year just sitting under the bridge. So, and again, it's not the locals that are causing the problems. 90% of our are from the weekenders coming from out of town.
Yeah. And that's been my point for many years is we do have a lot of people from out of town come and visit our lake. And that's why the safety concerns are as high for me as they are when it comes to signage, and it's got to be visible out there because they don't know because they've been on the lake before. They're all new visitors, and we have to be aware of that. We're going to have into the future, there's going to be more and more visitors coming. So we need to keep that in mind. Yeah.
Is there anything that could possibly be done that you have to take a boating education class and then you can get a sticker that allows you to boat on Lake Nasworthy? Can we do any kind of restriction like that? That would definitely educate everybody that lives on the lake, plus all of your outsiders, if they have to renew that. I mean, I don't know if that can be done with public property or not.
No, I mean, the city council could restrict it to that. I mean, they have the authority to do that. I think politically that idea would die in a hurry, but it's doable.
Why would it die? Why would it die? I don't know why it would die.
There's going to be a whole lot of people that don't want to be told they have to go take that class to go get a sticker, to pay for a sticker to get on that lake.
But I also know there is a boating safety chapter in the educational book to get a driver's license.
There is.
And so that is involved in getting a driver's license. They do talk about boating safety and about, I recall quite a bit of that, in fact.
Yeah, but if they want to boat on the lake, getting some kind of sticker that it would acknowledge them having these safety instructions, that might actually help with what you're talking about.
Well, and that's a good idea. You know, that the Lake Patrol does do random stops of boats on the lake, and they do safety checks to see if they have a fire extinguisher, see if they have an oar, see if they've got enough life jackets for the number of people in the boat, see if they have a throwable life jacket or a throwable floating device. That could be something, and it wouldn't be required, but would be something that our local lake rangers could provide as a handout about our particular Lake Nasworthy restrictions and requirements or whatever. That's a kind of a good idea, I think. Since they stop and do safety checks anyway, it would be something in addition they could hand to a boater to help educate them. Possibly.
On how much it costs to print.
And that was something else that's been brought to my attention, because if you're out on the lake a lot, it gets rather irritating to get pulled over 2 or 3 times for a safety check. And I've heard this through the years by a lot of boaters is, can we get a sticker once we get checked once, you know, during the year? Can we get a sticker that we can put on our windshield or put it next to our registration number on our boat, showing that we've been safety checked? And you know, that's another good idea.
Yeah, that might be a way to raise some money, because I want that sticker on my windshield so I don't get stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think sounds like education is needed, and if we need to get another hand to watch the bridge and other places, then it sounds like it'll be it would earn its way.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's the feedback we're getting, you know, especially from the homeowners out there, because they live there and they're sitting out on their decks and they're watching people going up and down the lake. They're the ones that see a lot of safety issues. So I'm glad that they come forward with these issues, because they witness them all the time. And a lot of times, you know, most of us that don't go out, some of us that don't go out to the lake would never know otherwise. So we try to encourage our homeowners to speak up if they see safety concerns, because, you know, that's something we have to be aware of, especially with the city owning the lake, and it should be a priority on their list. Yeah.
So Carl, do we need to do anything to either help with this situation, to send it to council? Or, I mean, Shane said that he's got to talk to the city manager, and Debbie was saying the HOA would look into what other lakes do. Is there anything that we need to move this forward? Or
No, I wrote the caption so you could make a recommendation. This is really the first time we've ever talked about this, so it's just been kind of an open discussion. I think at this point, it's more of taking a step back with staff and talking about different ideas, and
well,
maybe
can we ask that we like table this and then ask them to come back and see if they've come up with anything that would help with better education, and whether we need all the buoys or not, and safety?
Yes, we can table it. Like I said, it's an open discussion. I think at this point, stepping back, talking to staff and maybe some of the HOA, city manager, and seeing what direction they'd like us to go, we can bring it back once we have vetted out some of those ideas.
Okay.
Good idea.
Okay. Well, everybody okay with that? Well,
make a motion that we'll come back to it in what, 2-3 months or something?
You can just ask for that. We don't have to take any action.
Okay.
Okay.
Just like we put this item on this agenda without any action, you had asked for it.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So are we on to item 5?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, I have a question. Are the boat ramp projects, are they going to be starting, or have they started? Because last time you said the end of this month and early July. How's that going?
We're looking more at early July.
Early July? Okay.
is early July.
That's this week.
Yeah.
Is, things aren't quite fully lined up yet, but we're heading that direction.
So it's probably mid-July. Okay.
Can't make any promises. We're working towards it. Getting it started.
Okay. And did I hear correctly that the Wake the Desert is not here?
They canceled for this year.
Okay. And are we still okay with the Spring Creek Festival, or is that questionable?
Well, under the new orders, they have been approved through the special event process, and even the last event at Spring Creek Marina went to City Council for approval. So
they're good. They're good to go
with their mitigation plan. Now, boat races in the middle of July. This other event is at the end of July. As we get closer to those events, we'll just have to see how things are. We always have the right to not have the event be held if situations warrant that. I have talked to the boat race folks. They are working and planning on limiting the attendance in terms of spectators. They're working on a plan for that. And the event at the end of July, we just got to keep an eye on it, and may have to work with them in terms of monitoring how they're implementing the recommendations and restrictions.
Okay. Does anybody have any other future agenda items that we need to talk about?
I don't.
Okay.
I'm sure something will come up by then, but you can always email me too.
Carl, I have a question. You have those, 29th Street baseball fields that were on the, that we just saw. They were covered in this project. And I was wondering, you had brought those up before about refurbishing them. And then the other day they were talking about the baseball fields over on the east side. Is there any need to expand baseball fields where we could use those 29th Street to gain additional income or stuff like that?
We can add that as an agenda item. That was the plan, to renovate 29th Street complex from basically what it is to a practice area for baseball, softball, other sports. But I don't know that we'll have any big update to report to the board in July. We have some funding for that project, but it just hasn't moved forward. Can't really talk about it now.
How much money is needed to bring those online to where they would make money?
I think it was close to $2 million, a little less than that was what the plan was.
That's a lot of money.
But we have a good chunk of that already allocated towards that project. I guess we can give an update at the next meeting where that project is. Okay.
Okay. Well, if there's not anything else,
I'd be curious to know what Carl is gonna, once he gets this plan in place to get grants, what are you gonna pursue first?
Well, the good news, it's not on the agenda. We can add that to the next agenda, but the good news is there's already some things in the works we're already heading that direction. Like the pier improvements at Lake Nazareth, that's already on the CIP. It's funded now. So that could happen, that should happen the next year or two. We're working towards that. Nature trail, we're working on one that's not well known by the public, but it could be have some improvements made for minimal cost and be available. Nature trails was high. Playgrounds, we're working on Brentwood. Now we got funded for Unidad.
Well, Carl, why don't you just give us an update on what are our next steps that we need to do with I never remember the name of it, with the master plan and how it's gonna fit.
Update on projects related to the master plan.
Sure.
Good. What's next?
Yep. Okay.
Also, we were doing 5 parks a meeting where parks would update on 5 different parks, talk about the condition. We want to continue that. Postpone that. The last time we did that was February, I think.
Yes.
Okay.
Sure, we can, but depending on what else you get, we can put that off.
Okay.
All right.
Carl,
Yes,
another thing, part of the suggestion that we talked about last time is having an ordinance for installing parks in new construction areas, new residential areas. We need to formulate some kind of ordinance there to submit to city council for because they said 80% of the cities that they dealt with had a ordinance of that nature. And I think that I've thought that for a long time that we needed that. I've even mentioned it to you, I think. But we need to find out how to word that and submit it to the council for their approval or rejection or guidance.
Yes, I can add that to the agenda. I can present what some of the other cities are doing, and we can take what might work best for us, and I can cover the high points. And if you give us direction to move forward with that, I can work with the city attorney. And then once we draft something up, we'll bring it back to the board, then city council. But I can add that to the agenda for the next meeting to talk about.
Okay.
That's pretty meaty. That's
good. All right. So I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
This is Debbie. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
So I have a motion to adjourn and a second, and we'll see you next month, July 23rd. Well, I guess I won't see you, but I'll hear you.
You got to vote.
You got to vote?
You got to vote.
Everybody agreed?
Yep.
Okay. All right. See you then.
Thank you, Laurie.
Thanks.